Okay, so last time we were looking at taking variables and adding on to those variables, but also particularly loops. This video we're going to briefly touch on if statements, or conditions as we call them. So if statements are statements that say if this happens, do this. Otherwise you don't do anything else with them. Okay, so if this happens, do this, else you're going to do nothing. You can have an build them up, so you say if this happens, do this, else do that, or if this happens, do this, else if this happens, do this. But we're going to just focus on if this happens, do that. So my codes set my number variable at 1. It checked whether it was less than 5 on a while loop, and whilst it was less than 5, it printed the number, and then it said my number is my number plus 1. Then it said wait. Okay, so I'm going to add a little if statement here. So when it says the number 3, it's going to say is the magic number, and then carry on. So a little sad kind of joke in there. So we're going to add the if onto here. Okay, and what you'll notice is these things are indenting now. There's dotted lines going down. Now what that means is that the lines that go down is the kind of level of code. So the overall function that we talked about at the start, on start, so when the microbit runs, is that level. Inside on start is the basic coding for on start, which is this level, and then we've got the while loop. So those dots is something that is in the while. Now we've got an if, and those dot bits there are something that's in the if. So we're going to test if a number equals another number. So my number equals 3. Now we have to use equals to say it, to check whether it equals 3. And the reason for that is because if we have equals, it assigns a value. So if I said if, and I said my number, and then on the right hand side 3. Now if that said if brackets globals dot my number equals 3, without the double equals, just a single equals, it would assign the number 3 to my number. Okay, to that variable, it would assign it to it, and then it would look for another test. Okay, so that is why we have equals. So now it runs through, it displays the number, it adds one to the number, it waits 100, then it checks, oh, is that number 3? If it isn't number 3, it will carry on. If it is number 3, I want it to say, and we're going to have a string here, is okay, and that's as simple as that. That's our if done for this bit. So what the program does now, it says, right, set the variable my number to 1, check whether it's less than 1, and whilst less than 5, sorry, and whilst it's less than 5, keep doing the next bit of code. Write the number on the microbit, take that number and add 1 to it, and make that what new my number is, await 1000. Then check if my number equals 3. If it does, you're going to write is the magic number on the microbit, and then carry on. If it doesn't, you're just going to carry on. Okay, so it should go, the microbit should go 1, 2, 3 is the magic number, and then 4. That's what should happen. So if we run this, it goes 1, 2 is the magic number. Then it says 3, and then it says 4. So that hasn't actually worked. And you might be thinking, well, why has that not worked? And now the reason for that is it prints the number before it adds 1 to the number. Okay? So it prints the number before it adds 1 to the number. So because it prints the number first, if that my number is a 2, it says, what is it? Is it less than 5? Yes, it is. Make it 2. Then it adds 1 to it to make it 3. Then it checks if it's 3. Okay? So this is the point, is you have to be really, really careful on the order your code is in. So if I lift that up onto there, just above there, which doesn't seem to want to do, there we go. And I say, do the adding one first, then print it, then print what it says. That will now work. It will go 3 then is the magic number. However, there will be another issue, so if we run this now, it goes 2, 3 is the magic number, but you notice it starts at 2. Now the reason it starts at 2 is because it says my number is 1, check it's less than 5, yes it is less than 5 as 1, add 1 to it and then display the number. So when we add 1 to it we get 2 and then it displays 2. So we can actually change this number up here to 0, to start from 0, and then it'll add 1 to it and then it will equal 1. Okay? So if we now run this, it will go 1, 2, 3 is the magic number. Takes a little while. And once it's run through that and it's got to 4, you should notice something else happen. It goes 4, and now it prints 5. Okay, and the reason it now prints 5 is because 4 is less than 5 and then it adds 1 before it prints it. Okay, so the way this program is working, just to go through it really quickly again, I make a variable called my number, equal it to 0. It checks whether my number is less than 5. If it is less than 5, it runs this code, and it will keep repeating this code. It says, right, the my number variable equals whatever it equals at the moment, which was 0 at first, plus 1, and makes that equal the new total. In this case, it's 1. It writes what my number is, it waits 1,000, then it checks if my number equals to 3. If it's not equal to 3, it carries on back round to the start of the loop. If it does equal 3, it says is the magic number, and then carries round to the start of the loop. Okay, so that's a really basic program with some counting in, but what that should hopefully do in the Code Kingdoms JavaScript is show you how to get ifs in to your bit of work as well.